key was already in the lock when I heard the music. Not soft background noise, but the kind of bass-heavy thump that makes your chest vibrate from 50 feet away. I stood there on my own porch, briefcase still in hand, and tried to process what I was hearing. This was my beach house, the one I had saved for, bought outright, and cherished as my sanctuary. And someone was throwing a party inside. I pushed the door open. The smell hit me first. Cigarette smoke mixed with stale beer and something sharper. Maybe vodka. The living room looked like a hurricane had torn through it. Red plastic cups littered every surface. The coffee table I had refinished myself was covered in water rings and what looked like pizza grease. Someone had knocked over a lamp. The white sectional sofa I had spent 3 months picking out had a dark stain spreading across one cushion. A woman I did not recognize stumbled past me, laughing hysterically into her phone. She did not even look at me. In the kitchen, I could see more people. At least a dozen. Maybe 15. They were everywhere. "What the hell is this?" I said, but my voice was lost in the noise. Then I saw her. My sister Jenna. She was standing by the sliding glass doors that led to the deck, a beer in one hand, gesturing wildly with the other as she talked to a man covered in tattoos. She looked different from the last time I had seen her at Christmas. Thinner. Her hair was bleached almost white, and she was wearing clothing I would describe as barely there. I walked toward her, my shoes sticking slightly to the hardwood floor. Someone had spilled something. Probably multiple things. "Jenna." She turned, and for a second, I thought I saw panic flash across her face. But it was gone just as quickly, replaced by something harder, meaner. "Oh, look who decided to show up," she said, loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. "The Ice Queen herself. What are you doing in my house?" "Your house?" She laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Relax, Alexia. We are just using it for the weekend. You are never here anyway. That does not give you the right to break in and throw a party." "Break in? I have a key, remember? You gave it to me for emergencies." She made air quotes around the word emergencies. "This is not an emergency. This is trespassing." The tattooed man next to her snorted. Someone turned the music down slightly, and I realized people were starting to watch us. Good. Let them watch. Jenna stepped closer to me. I could smell the alcohol on her breath. "You know what your problem is, Alexia. You are so uptight. So boring. You spend all your time working. And for what? So you can sit alone in this big empty house and feel superior to everyone else? I worked for this house. I earned it. Oh, here we go. The big success story. Alexia, the real estate developer. So much better than the rest of us." She turned to the crowd. "My sister thinks she is special because she has money. But you know what? Money does not buy you a life. Look at her. 33 years old and completely alone. No husband, no kids, no friends. Just her sad little beach house and her sad little life." The words hit harder than I wanted to admit. I had spent the last 5 years building my development company from nothing. 5 years of 18-hour days and missed holidays and relationships that withered because I was always working. I had told myself it would be worth it. That once I was established, once I was successful, everything else would fall into place. Standing here in my trashed house, listening to my sister mock me in front of strangers, I felt the weight of every sacrifice. "Where is Jeffrey?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Jeffrey was her husband, and while I had never particularly liked him, he was usually the voice of reason when Jenna got like this. "He is here somewhere, probably smoking on the deck with his parents." "His parents are here too?" "Yeah. What about it? They are staying in the guest room. The big one with the ocean view. Really nice room, by the way. Super comfortable bed." My jaw tightened. The guest room. The one I had spent 6 months renovating. The one with the custom built-ins and the imported tile in the bathroom. "You need to leave. All of you. Now." Jenna laughed again. "Or what? You will call the police? Go ahead. I would love to see you explain to them how you are kicking out your own sister. Besides, half the people here are connected. Good luck with that. She was testing me, pushing to see how far she could go. It was something she had done our whole lives. Growing up, she had been the wild one, the rebellious one, while I was the responsible older sister who kept my head down and followed the rules. Our parents had always made excuses for her. She is just spirited, they would say. She will grow out of it. She had not grown out of it. She had just gotten better at finding people who would enable her. Get out of here, you lonely loser, Jenna said suddenly, her voice sharp and mean. Or I will call the police. I looked at her for a long moment. At her dilated pupils and her aggressive stance. At the crowd of strangers in my house, watching us like we were entertainment. Sure, I said quietly. Call them. The confusion on Jenna's face was almost comical. She had expected me to back down, to leave quietly like I always did when things got uncomfortable. That was the pattern we had established over the years. She would push, I would retreat, and later someone would smooth things over until the next time. Not this time. What? She said. I said call them, call the police, I will wait. She pulled out her phone, but her hands were shaking slightly. Whether from adrenaline or something else, I could not tell. The tattooed man next to her was whispering something, but she waved him off. You are serious right now? Completely serious. You are in my house without permission. You have damaged my property. There are controlled substances being used on my premises. I can smell the marijuana from here. So yes, please call the police. I would love to have this documented. The room had gone very quiet now. Someone had turned the music off entirely. I could hear the ocean through the open doors, the waves hitting the beach in steady rhythm. Jenna's expression shifted. You would really do that? To your own sister? You are the one who suggested it. Come on, Alexia. Do not be like this. We are family. Family does not break into each other's homes and trash them. Jeffrey appeared then, pushing through the crowd. He was 35, with the kind of soft face that had probably been handsome once, but was now just puffy. His polo shirt was wrinkled and half untucked. He looked between us, clearly trying to assess the situation. What is going on? He asked. Your wife broke into my house, I said. I want everyone out. Now. He ran a hand through his hair. Look, Alexia. I know this is not ideal, but we thought you were out of town. Jenna said you would not mind. Jenna does not speak for me, and I do mind. I mind very much. We will clean everything up, I promise. Just give us until tomorrow morning. No. Be reasonable. I am being reasonable. You are in my house illegally. I want you gone. A woman's voice cut through the tension. What is all the yelling about? I turned to see Jeffrey's mother, Patricia, emerging from the hallway. She was in her early 60s, dressed in what I guessed was meant to be casual vacation wear, but looked more like she was heading to a country club. Everything about her screamed old money and entitlement. Patricia, I said evenly. Alexia. I did not realize you were coming. Her tone suggested I was the one who was intruding. This is my house. Yes, well, Jenna mentioned you had been so generous with your home. We have been having a wonderful time. The ocean view is spectacular. I was not being generous. I did not give anyone permission to be here. Patricia's expression hardened. Now, let us not be dramatic. These things happen in families. Surely we can work this out like adults. The adult thing to do would have been to ask permission first. Jeffrey's father and I have driven quite a distance to be here. We are not leaving in the middle of the night. Then you should have made sure you had permission to come in the first place. A man joined us then, presumably Jeffrey's father. He was tall and lean, with gray hair and the kind of stern expression that suggested he was used to being obeyed. "What seems to be the problem?" "Your son and daughter-in-law broke into my house," I said, tired of repeating myself. "That is a rather harsh way of putting it," he said. "From what I understand, this is a family property." "No. This is my property. I own it. My name is on the deed. Mine alone." "Alexia, honey," Jenna said, switching tactics. Her voice had gone soft and wheedling. "I know you are upset. You have every right to be. But can we please just talk about this? Without all these people around?" I looked at her. Really looked at her. When had things gotten so bad between us? We had never been particularly close, but there had been a time when we at least pretended to like each other. Family gatherings, holiday cards, the occasional phone call. But in the last few years, something had shifted. She had started making comments about my success. Little digs about how I was always working, how I did not have time for family anymore. Our parents had noticed it too, but they had brushed it off. Sibling rivalry, they called it. It will pass. It had not passed. It had festered. "Everyone out," I said. "You have 30 minutes to gather your things and leave. After that, I am calling the police." "You are making a mistake," Patricia said coldly. "The only mistake I made was trusting Jenna with a key." I turned and walked to the kitchen, stepping over cups and discarded paper plates. My hands were shaking now that the adrenaline was fading. I poured myself a glass of water from the tap and drank it slowly, trying to calm my racing heart. Through the window, I could see people starting to file out onto the deck. The party was breaking up. Good. I wanted them gone. All of them. Jenna appeared in the doorway. Alone, this time. "I did not think you would actually kick us out," she said quietly. "What did you think would happen?" "I thought you would be upset but eventually let it go. Like always." "Like always," I repeated. "Is that what you think? That I just let things go?" "Do not you?" I set the glass down on the counter. "Not this time." The next 30 minutes were a blur of people gathering their belongings and filing out. Some looked embarrassed. Others looked annoyed, like I was ruining their good time. I stood by the door and watched them leave, one by one, until the house was almost empty. Jeffrey's parents were the last to go, aside from Jenna and Jeffrey themselves. Patricia paused on her way out, her face tight with anger. "This is not how family treats each other," she said. "You are right," I replied. "It is not." She left without another word, her husband following silently behind her. Finally, it was just the three of us. Jenna was crying now. Big dramatic sobs that I suspected were at least partly for show. Jeffrey had his arm around her, but he would not look at me. "We need our things from the guest room," he said. "Fine. But make it fast." They disappeared down the hallway, and I walked through the house, surveying the damage. It was worse than I had initially thought. The hardwood floors were scratched. Someone had burned a cigarette into the deck railing. The bathroom had makeup smeared on the mirror and the counter. The kitchen trash was overflowing with bottles and food containers. Years of work. Years of carefully building something that was mine. Something I could be proud of. And my own sister had waltzed in and treated it like a cheap rental. I heard footsteps and turned to find Jenna standing there with a rolling suitcase. Jeffrey was behind her, carrying 2 more bags. "I am sorry," she said, and for a moment, she almost sounded genuine. "I messed up. I know I did." "You did more than mess up. You violated my trust. You disrespected me and my home. I know, and I will make it right. I promise." "How? How exactly will you make this right?" She did not have an answer for that. "The key," I said, holding out my hand. "I want it back." She dug into her purse and pulled out a small silver key on a plain ring. She held it for a moment before dropping it into my palm. Are you really going to call the police? Jeffrey asked. That depends on whether I find anything illegal left behind, and whether there is any damage that requires insurance claims. We will pay for any damages, he said quickly. I will send you a list. They walked toward the door, but Jenna stopped and turned back. You are going to regret this, she said. Treating family like criminals. Mom and Dad are going to be furious when they find out. Let me worry about Mom and Dad. This is not over, Alexia. Yes, I said quietly. It is. After they left, I locked the door and stood in the silence. The house felt violated, contaminated. I walked from room to room, making mental notes of everything that needed to be cleaned or repaired. It was going to take days to get it back to normal. In the guest room, I found the bedding stripped and piled in the corner. The bathroom had wet towels thrown on the floor. Someone had left a half-empty wine bottle on the nightstand, leaving another ring on the wood. But it was what I found in the closet that made my blood run cold. There were bags, shopping bags, designer labels, dozens of them. I pulled them out one by one, my hands shaking. Clothes with tags still attached. Shoes. Handbags. Some still had receipts inside. I grabbed one of the receipts and looked at it. The date was from 2 days ago. The total was $3,000. The name on the credit card was mine. My credit card. I sat down hard on the bed, the receipt clutched in my hand. Jenna had not just broken into my house. She had stolen from me. She had gone through my things, found my financial information, and used my credit cards to go on a shopping spree. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands and opened my banking app. The charges were all there, page after page of them. Restaurants, bars, retail stores, gas stations. The total climbed higher and higher as I scrolled. $28,000 in less than a week. I felt dizzy, sick. This was not just a party gone wrong. This was not just poor judgment or sibling rivalry. This was calculated, deliberate, criminal. And then I noticed something else. A folder on the dresser. I opened it and found documents. My documents. Property deeds, bank statements, investment portfolios. She had gone through everything, photographed everything, based on the phone sitting next to the folder. Why? What was she planning? My phone buzzed. A text from my mother. Jenna just called me crying. She said you kicked her out of your beach house and threatened to call the police. What is going on? Call me immediately. I stared at the message. Of course Jenna had called our parents first. Of course she had spun the story to make herself the victim. That was what she did. That was what she had always done. But this time, I had evidence. I took photos of everything. The receipts, the shopping bags, the documents, the damage to the house. I documented every single thing. My hands steady now as anger replaced shock. Then I sat down and began making calls. First, to my credit card companies to report fraud. Then to my bank to secure my accounts. Then to a security company to change all the locks and install a proper alarm system. And finally, to a lawyer. I was done letting Jenna walk all over me, done making excuses, done protecting her from the consequences of her actions. When I called the police an hour later, my voice was calm and clear. I need to report a crime, I said. Identity theft, credit card fraud, and breaking and entering. I have extensive documentation. The dispatcher took my information and promised to send an officer. I sat down to wait, surrounded by the wreckage of my sanctuary, and felt something shift inside me. This was not just about the house anymore. This was about drawing a line, about saying enough. My phone buzzed again. Another text from my mother. Alexia, answer your phone. This is serious. I turned the phone face down and waited for the police to arrive. The officer who arrived was a woman in her 40s named Officer Brennan. She had kind eyes but a no-nonsense demeanor that I appreciated. I walked her through everything, showing her the damage, the stolen credit cards, the forged signatures on receipts, the documents that had been rifled through and photographed. She took notes on a tablet, occasionally asking clarifying questions. When I showed her my banking app with all the fraudulent charges, her expression hardened. $28,000 in less than a week, she said. Yes. And you are certain it was your sister who made these charges? I am certain. She had access to my house. She had my cards. And look at this. I showed her photos I had taken of Jenna, wearing some of the stolen clothes in the social media posts she had made over the last few days, tagging herself at my beach house, showing off her new outfits, bragging about the vacation she was having. Officer Brennan shook her head slowly. People really do document their own crimes these days. Will you be pressing charges? She asked after she had finished her initial report. I hesitated for only a second. Yes, all of them. Including against family members who were present? Yes. She looked at me carefully. I need to tell you that cases like this, especially involving family, can get complicated. Are you sure you want to go forward? I have never been more sure of anything. She nodded. All right. We will need you to come down to the station tomorrow to sign formal statements. In the meantime, I am going to document everything here, and we will begin the investigation. Do you have somewhere safe to stay tonight? This is my house. I am staying here. Just make sure you change those locks tonight if possible, not tomorrow. After she left, I spent the next 2 hours cleaning. I threw away trash bag after trash bag of garbage. I scrubbed floors and counters and bathroom sinks. I stripped the beds and washed the linens with hot water and extra detergent, as if I could wash away the violation along with the stains. Around midnight, my phone started ringing. My mother. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again immediately. And again. Finally, I turned the ringer off and focused on cleaning. By 3 a.m, the house was starting to look normal again. The surface issues were addressed, though the deeper damage to floors and furniture would take longer to fix. I was exhausted, but too wired to sleep. I made coffee and sat on the deck, watching the ocean. The voicemails piled up. My mother, my father, Jeffrey, even Patricia, Jeffrey's mother, left one. I listened to them on speaker, one after another. My mother was hysterical. How could you do this to your sister? She made a mistake, yes, but calling the police? Having her arrested? This is family, Alexia. Family. Call me back right now. My father was quieter, but no less disappointed. I raised you better than this. Whatever Jenna did, we handle it within the family. Not by bringing in authorities and making a public spectacle. You need to drop these charges immediately. Jeffrey's message was desperate. Please, Alexia, think about what you are doing. Jenna is falling apart. She did not mean for things to go this far. She has problems, okay? She needs help, not jail time. Can we please just talk about this? Patricia's message was ice cold. You are destroying this family over money and pride. I hope you can live with yourself when your sister's life is ruined. And make no mistake, we will be speaking to our attorney about your actions here. I deleted each message as it finished playing. At 7 a.m, I called my insurance company to begin the claims process for the property damage. Then I called a restoration company to get quotes on repairing the floors and furniture. I was in the middle of describing the cigarette burn on the deck railing when someone started pounding on my front door. I hung up and went to look through the peephole. My parents. Both of them. My father looked tired, but my mother looked furious. I opened the door. What were you thinking? My mother said immediately, pushing past me into the house. My father followed more slowly. Good morning to you too, I said. Do not be smart. Do you have any idea what you have done? I reported crimes that were committed against me. Crimes? Alexia, This is your sister we are talking about. Your baby sister. My baby sister who stole nearly $30,000 from me, trashed my house, and violated my privacy. My father held up a hand. Let us all calm down and discuss this rationally. There is nothing to discuss, I said. Jenna broke the law. Multiple laws. She is facing the consequences. The consequences, my mother repeated. Do you know what those consequences are? She could go to jail. She could have a criminal record. Her marriage could fall apart. Her entire life could be destroyed. And for what? Money? Money you have plenty of? This is not about the money. Then what is it about? It is about respect, boundaries, the fact that she thought she could do this to me and get away with it. My mother's eyes filled with tears. When did you become so cold, so vindictive? The word hit me like a slap. Vindictive? I am protecting myself from someone who clearly has no problem using me. She made a mistake. No. A mistake is accidentally breaking a glass. A mistake is forgetting to ask permission. This was deliberate. She went through my personal documents. She took photos of my financial information. She maxed out my credit cards. That is not a mistake, Mom. That is theft. My father sat down on the sofa, suddenly looking much older than his 63 years. What do you want from us, Alexia? I want you to stop making excuses for her. I want you to acknowledge that what she did was wrong. We do acknowledge it, he said quietly, but we also think there are better ways to handle this than involving law enforcement. Like what? Having a family meeting? Asking her nicely not to steal from me again? Like getting her help, my mother said. Alexia, your sister is struggling. She has been struggling for years. She needs therapy, not jail time. Then maybe jail time will convince her to get therapy. My mother stared at me like she did not recognize me. I never thought I would see the day when you would turn your back on family like this. I am not turning my back on anyone. I am setting boundaries. There is a difference. Is there? Because from where I am standing, it looks like you are destroying your relationship with your sister, and possibly with us too, over money and pride. If our relationship cannot survive me standing up for myself, then maybe it was not much of a relationship to begin with. The silence that followed was deafening. My mother looked like I had physically struck her. My father just looked sad. I think we should go, he said softly, standing up. Probably for the best, I agreed. My mother walked past me without another word. But at the door, she turned back. If you go through with this, if you actually prosecute your own sister, do not expect us to support you. Do not expect us at holidays. Do not expect phone calls or visits. You will be choosing to destroy this family, and you will have to live with that choice alone. I can live with it, I said, even though my hands were shaking. After they left, I sat on the floor and cried for the first time since this had all started. Not because I regretted my decision, but because I was finally understanding the true cost of it. My parents had made their choice. They were choosing Jenna, the way they always had. And I was going to lose them both. The next few days were a blur of appointments and paperwork. I went to the police station and signed formal statements. I met with my lawyer, a sharp woman named Kathleen who specialized in fraud cases. I spoke with my insurance company and started the process of getting my credit cards reissued and my accounts secured. The charges against Jenna were officially filed: identity theft, credit card fraud, breaking and entering. The amount stolen pushed it into felony territory. Kathleen warned me that the case would likely take months to wind through the system, and that my family would probably escalate their pressure campaign. She was right. My mother called every day, sometimes multiple times. When I stopped answering, she started leaving increasingly desperate voicemails. Then she started showing up at my work. My office manager eventually had to ask her to leave when she caused a scene in the lobby. My father tried a different approach. He sent emails, long, carefully worded messages about family loyalty and forgiveness and the importance of second chances. He reminded me of all the times Jenna had been there for me growing up, conveniently forgetting the many more times she had not been. Jeffrey called once, drunk and crying. "You are ruining our lives," he slurred. "Jenna cannot sleep. She cannot eat. She just sits there staring at the wall. Is this what you wanted? To break her?" "What I wanted was for her not to steal from me," I said calmly. "We will pay you back. Every penny. Just drop the charges." "The money is not the point." "Then what is the point? Revenge?" "Justice," I corrected. "There is a difference." He hung up on me. But it was Patricia's involvement that surprised me most. 2 weeks after I had filed charges, I received a letter from her attorney. It was full of legal jargon, but the gist was clear. They were threatening to sue me for emotional distress, defamation, and alienation of affection. I forwarded it to Kathleen, who called me 30 minutes later, laughing. "This is the most ridiculous thing I have read all year," she said. "They have no case. None. This is just intimidation tactics. Ignore it." "Can they do anything legally?" "They can file whatever they want, but it will be thrown out immediately. You are the victim here, Alexia. You reported crimes that actually happened. There is no defamation, no emotional distress claim that would hold up. And alienation of affection? That does not even apply to this situation. This lawyer should be embarrassed." But the letter had done its job. It had rattled me, made me question whether I was doing the right thing, made me wonder if the cost was too high. I drove to the beach house that weekend, needing the distance from everything. The repairs were done. The floors were refinished. The furniture was either fixed or replaced. It looked beautiful, pristine, like nothing had ever happened. But I could not shake the feeling that something was broken that could not be fixed with new wood and fresh paint. I was sitting on the deck Sunday evening when my phone rang with an unknown number. I almost did not answer, but something made me pick up. "Hello?" "Alexia, this is Detective Morrison. I am working on your case." I sat up straighter. "Yes." "Hello. Is there news?" "There is. Can you come to the station tomorrow? There is something I need to show you." "What is it?" "I would rather show you in person." "Can you make it by 10? "Yes, I will be there." I barely slept that night, running through possibilities. Had they caught Jenna doing something else? Had she confessed? Had someone else been involved? When I arrived at the station the next morning, Detective Morrison led me to a small conference room. She was in her mid-40s, with graying hair pulled back in a bun and the exhausted look of someone who had seen too much. "Thank you for coming," she said, gesturing to a chair. "I want to show you something, but I need to warn you first. This is going to be difficult to see." "Okay." She opened a laptop and turned it toward me. On the screen was a document. An email thread, actually, between Jenna and someone named Howard. The emails dated back 3 months. "Who is Howard?" I asked. "That is what we are trying to figure out. But read the emails. Start from the oldest one." I scrolled to the beginning and started reading. The first email was from Jenna to Howard. "She is never there. The beach house sits empty 9 months out of the year. It is a waste. I have been thinking about what you said." Howard's reply: "If you are serious, I can connect you with people. But you need to be sure. This is not something you can walk back from." My stomach dropped. I kept reading. "I am sure," Jenna wrote. "I have copies of the deed. I know where she keeps her financial records. I can get you everything you need." "Good. My contact will pay $50,000 for the property information and account details. Once we have control of the assets, you get 10%. 10% of what? Of whatever we can liquidate before she catches on. Could be a couple $100,000. Could be more if she is as wealthy as you say. I stopped reading and looked up at Detective Morrison. She was planning to steal more than credit cards. Much more. We think she was working with an identity theft ring. They specialize in targeting wealthy individuals with family connections who can get them inside access. How far did it get? Not as far as it could have. You caught on faster than they expected when you showed up at the beach house. But look at the rest of the thread. I scrolled forward. The emails got more detailed. More specific. Jenna had sent photos of my documents, my bank statements, my investment portfolios, property deeds not just for the beach house, but for my primary residence and the commercial properties my company owned. They were going to take everything, I whispered. That was the plan. These people are professionals. They would have created fraudulent documents, transferred assets, emptied accounts. By the time you realized what was happening, they would have been long gone with your money, and you would have been left with a legal nightmare trying to prove it was fraud. I felt like I was going to be sick. Does Jenna know you have these? Not yet. We found them on a laptop she pawned 3 days ago. She needed money, got careless. The pawn shop owner got suspicious when he opened it and saw the emails still pulled up. He called us. So she does not know that you know about Howard and the plan. Correct. What happens now? Detective Morrison leaned back in her chair. That depends. We have enough here to add conspiracy to commit fraud and possibly racketeering if we can connect her to the larger ring. She's looking at serious prison time, 10 years minimum, possibly more. And if she cooperates? If she gives us Howard and the others, helps us bust the ring, the prosecutor might offer a deal, reduce charges, maybe 5 years instead of 10. But she would have to give us everything. I stared at the laptop screen, at my sister's words. Cold, calculated, planning my destruction like it was just another transaction. I thought about all the times I had defended her to other people, all the times I had made excuses, all the times I had told myself she would change, she would grow up, she would finally become the person I wanted her to be. She had been planning to destroy me. Completely. Utterly. Not in a moment of weakness or poor judgment, but deliberately, over months, working with criminals who did this for a living. I need you to think carefully about what you want to do here. Detective Morrison said gently. If we bring Jenna in and confront her with this evidence, we are going to push for the maximum charges. She will go to prison. For a long time. And your family, from what Officer Brennan mentioned, is already pressuring you to drop the original charges. This is going to make that pressure much worse. What are you saying? I am saying you need to be prepared for the fallout. Cases like this destroy families. I have seen it before. Your parents will likely never forgive you. Other relatives will take sides. It gets ugly. Uglier than my sister planning to steal my entire life. Fair point. I stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the parking lot. A family was getting out of a car. Mother, father, 2 kids. They looked normal. Happy. Like they had never heard the word fraud or betrayal or conspiracy. What would I be without my family? My parents already were not speaking to me. Jenna had shown her true colors. I had no siblings besides her, no aunts or uncles that I was close to. My grandparents were all dead. If I went through with this, I would truly be alone. But what was the alternative? Let her get away with it? Pretend I had not seen these emails? Drop the charges and wait for her to try again? Do it, I said, turning back to Detective Morrison. Bring her in. Hit her with everything. You are sure? She had 3 months to change her mind, 3 months to call this off. Instead, she sent him more information, more photos. She never hesitated. Not once. So yes, I am sure. Detective Morrison nodded slowly. All right, we will pick her up this afternoon. I will keep you updated. Can I ask you something? Of course. Do you think she would have actually gone through with it? All the way? The detective looked at me with something that might have been pity. Based on the emails? Yes. I think she would have taken every penny and never looked back. I am sorry. I left the police station and sat in my car for a long time, not ready to drive. My hands were shaking again. Not from fear this time, but from rage. Pure, white-hot rage at my sister, at my parents for enabling her, at myself for not seeing it sooner. My phone buzzed, a text from my mother. Please call me. I am begging you. Let us work this out as a family. I almost laughed. Family. Like we had ever been a real family. Like there had ever been trust or loyalty or genuine care beneath the surface. It had all been pretend. All of it. I drove to my office and threw myself into work. I had 3 projects in development, 24 calls to return, and a full schedule of meetings. I welcomed the distraction. For the next 6 hours, I did not think about Jenna or the police or any of it. I just worked. At 4 p.m., Detective Morrison called. We have her in custody, she said. She lawyered up immediately, but we showed her the emails. She is not talking yet, but her attorney looked pretty shaken when he saw the evidence. What happens next? Arraignment will be tomorrow morning. The prosecutor is going to ask for high bail given the flight risk and the severity of the charges. After that, it is up to her attorney whether she wants to cooperate or take her chances at trial. How did she react when you showed her the emails? There was a pause. She cried. A lot. But I have been doing this job for 20 years, Alexia. I can tell the difference between genuine remorse and self-pity. She is upset she got caught, not upset about what she did. After we hung up, I waited for the guilt to hit. The second guessing. The voice in my head telling me I had gone too far, been too harsh, ruined my sister's life over money. It did not come. Instead, I felt clarity. The kind of clarity that comes from finally, after years of doubt and confusion, understanding exactly who someone is. Jenna was not a struggling younger sister who made mistakes. She was not someone who needed help and understanding. She was a criminal. A predator who saw me as nothing more than a target. And I was done being her victim. My mother called at 6 p.m. I answered this time. How could you? She screamed. No greeting. No pretense of civility. She is in jail. Your sister is in jail because of you. She is in jail because of her choices. They are saying she was planning to steal hundreds of thousands of dollars. That is insane. Jenna would never. She would. And she was. The police have emails proving it. My mother fell silent. She was working with identity thieves, I continued. She was going to help them steal everything I owned. My house, my business, my entire life. And she was going to get paid for it. I do not believe you. I have seen the evidence. You can believe whatever you want. No, my mother said, her voice breaking. No, you are lying. You are making this up to justify what you have done, to make yourself feel better about destroying your sister. Believe what you want, Mom. I am done trying to convince you. If you testify against her, if you go through with this, you are no longer my daughter. Do you understand me? No longer my daughter. I understand, I said quietly, and hung up. I sat in the darkening office, alone, and waited to feel something. Sadness, regret, loss. But all I felt was tired. Bone deep, soul tired in a way that had nothing to do with lack of sleep, and everything to do with carrying the weight of a family that had never really been mine. The arraignment was scheduled for 9 a.m. I had not planned to go, but Kathleen called me the night before and suggested I should be there. Why? I asked. Because Jenna's attorney is going to try to paint her as a victim. Young woman, struggling, misguided, corrupted by bad influences. The prosecutor wants the judge to see you there. To remember that there is an actual victim in this case, a real person whose life she tried to destroy. So I went. The courthouse was packed. I found a seat in the back of the courtroom and waited. Jenna was brought in wearing an orange jumpsuit, her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. She looked smaller somehow, diminished. Her eyes swept the room and landed on me. For a second, something flickered across her face. Then it was gone, replaced by a carefully constructed mask of innocence. Her attorney was a man in his 50s with silver hair and an expensive suit. He spoke eloquently about how Jenna had been manipulated by sophisticated criminals, how she had been in over her head, how she deeply regretted her actions and wanted to make amends. The prosecutor, a woman named Alice who looked barely 30, countered with the facts. The emails showed clear intent and planning over months. The dollar amounts involved were substantial. The victim was her own sister. This was not a case of manipulation. This was premeditated fraud. The judge, an older man with reading glasses perched on his nose, listened to both sides. Then he looked at Jenna. "Do you have anything to say for yourself?" he asked. Jenna stood, her voice small and shaky. "I am so sorry, Your Honor. I made terrible choices. I was desperate and scared, and I let bad people influence me. But I never wanted to actually hurt my sister. I love her. I just got in over my head." The judge looked unimpressed. "Bail is set at $200,000. Next court date is scheduled for 6 weeks from now. The defendant is ordered to surrender her passport and remain in the state." $200,000. Jenna did not have that kind of money. Neither did Jeffrey. They would need a bail bondsman, which meant coming up with $20,000 cash. I wondered if they had it. I wondered if my parents would pay it. As they led Jenna out, she looked at me again. This time, the mask slipped completely. The look she gave me was pure hatred, raw and undisguised. I met her eyes steadily and did not look away. Outside the courthouse, I ran into Alice, the prosecutor. "That went well," she said. "High bail, passport surrender. The judge clearly took this seriously. What are the chances she takes a plea deal?" "Decent, actually. Her attorney knows we have her dead to rights on the emails. Going to trial would be a disaster for her. If she cooperates and gives us the identity theft ring, we can offer reduced charges. She would still do time, probably 3 to 5 years, but it would be better than the 10 to 15 she is looking at now. And if she does not cooperate? Then we go to trial and bury her. Either way, you will get justice, Alexia. I promise you that." I drove back to my office and tried to focus on work, but my mind kept drifting. To the look on Jenna's face, to my mother's threats, to the reality that my entire family had chosen my sister's side, even knowing what she had done. That evening, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost did not answer, but curiosity got the better of me. "Hello? This is Patricia, Jeffrey's mother." Her voice was ice cold. "I am calling to inform you that we have posted Jenna's bail. She will be released this evening." "Okay. I also want you to know that you have made a powerful enemy. My husband and I have resources, connections. We will make sure everyone in this city knows what kind of person you are, what you did to your own sister." "You mean reporting her for planning to steal hundreds of thousands of dollars from me? You drove her to it, with your selfishness and your greed. Is that what she told you?" "She told us the truth, that you have always been jealous of her, that you have always resented her, that you have been looking for an excuse to destroy her." I almost laughed. Believe whatever makes you feel better about defending a criminal. But the evidence does not lie. The emails do not lie. And when this goes to trial, a jury is not going to lie either. "There will not be a trial," Patricia said confidently. "Jenna's attorney will get the charges dismissed. And then we will sue you for malicious prosecution and defamation. Good luck with that." She hung up on me. I sat there holding my phone, marveling at the delusion. They actually believed Jenna was innocent, or maybe they just could not face the truth. Either way, they were in for a rude awakening. The weeks that followed fell into a strange routine. I worked during the day, met with Kathleen regularly to prep for the possible trial, and spent my evenings at the beach house. I had started staying there more, reclaiming it as my space. My parents did not call, not once. The silence was deafening, but also, strangely, peaceful. I had spent so many years trying to navigate their expectations, trying to be the good daughter while Jenna was the wild one. Now that I had been officially cast out, I felt lighter somehow. Free. 6 weeks after the arraignment, I got the call from Alice. Jenna had agreed to cooperate. She was giving up Howard and the rest of the identity theft ring in exchange for a reduced sentence. 5 years, with possibility of parole after 3. "How do you feel about that?" Alice asked. "I am not sure," I admitted. Part of me wanted her to go to trial, wanted her to face the full consequences. I understand. But think about what we gained here. We are taking down an entire criminal operation. They have been doing this for years, targeting dozens of people. Without Jenna's testimony, we might never have caught them. So she gets rewarded for being a criminal by getting to punish other criminals. That is one way to look at it. Or you could see it as her finally doing something right, even if her motivations are selfish. After we hung up, I walked out onto the deck and stared at the ocean. 5 years. Jenna would be 38 when she got out. Still young enough to rebuild her life if she wanted to. Still young enough to change, though I doubted she would. I thought about calling my parents, letting them know what had happened. But what would I say? Your daughter is going to prison, and I am the one who put her there. Somehow I did not think that would go over well. Instead, I called Kathleen. "I heard," she said. "How are you doing?" "I do not know. I thought I would feel vindicated, satisfied, but I just feel empty." That is normal. Revenge rarely feels as good as we think it will. This was not revenge, this was justice. There is a fine line between the two. The sentencing hearing was scheduled for 2 months later. I did not plan to go, but Alice called me a week before and asked if I wanted to give a victim impact statement. "You do not have to," she said. "But it might help the judge understand the full scope of what Jenna did to you. Not just financially, but emotionally." I thought about it for 3 days. Then I wrote the statement. It took me 17 drafts to get it right, to find the words that captured what I was feeling without sounding vindictive or petty. On the day of the sentencing, I walked into the courthouse alone. No family, no friends, just me and the truth. The courtroom was less crowded this time. Jenna's attorney gave a long speech about her remorse and cooperation and how she had taken responsibility for her actions. He asked for leniency. Probation instead of prison, or house arrest, or anything but jail time. Then it was my turn. I walked to the front of the courtroom and stood at the podium. I did not look at Jenna. I looked at the judge. "Your Honor, my name is Alexia, and I am here because my sister tried to destroy my life." My voice was steady, strong. She did not do it in a moment of anger or poor judgment. She planned it for months. She worked with criminals. She photographed my private documents. She gave strangers access to my financial information. She was going to help them steal everything I had worked for, and she was going to get paid for it. I paused, letting the words sink in. But the money is not what hurt the most. It was the betrayal. I trusted her. I loved her. I would have given her anything if she had just asked, but she did not ask. She took, and she was going to keep taking until there was nothing left. I finally looked at Jenna. She was crying silently, her shoulders shaking. I do not know if she is really sorry, or if she is just sorry she got caught. But I know I will never trust her again. I know I will spend the rest of my life looking over my shoulder, wondering if she is planning something else, wondering if other people in my life are doing the same thing. That is what she took from me. My ability to trust, my sense of safety, my belief that family means something. I looked back at the judge. She made her choices. Now she needs to face the consequences. Not for revenge, but because actions have to mean something. Because if someone can do this to their own family and walk away unpunished, then what does that say about our society? What does that say about justice? I walked back to my seat. The courtroom was silent. The judge spoke for 10 minutes about the severity of the crimes, the premeditated nature of the planning, and the importance of deterrence. Then he delivered the sentence. 5 years in state prison, with eligibility for parole after 3 years served. Additionally, you are ordered to pay full restitution to your sister in the amount of $28,000, plus interest and court costs. You will be placed on probation for 5 years following your release, during which time you will have no contact with the victim. Do you understand? Jenna nodded, her face blotchy and red. Take her into custody, the judge said. As they led her away, Jenna looked back at me one last time. I expected to see hatred again, or maybe fear. But what I saw was something worse. Emptiness. Like she had finally realized what she had lost and could not find a way to care. I walked out of the courthouse into bright sunshine. Alice caught up with me on the steps. That was a powerful statement, she said. It was the truth. Are you okay? I will be, I said, and I believed it. The fallout took time to settle. My parents never called, never wrote, never acknowledged what had happened beyond that final phone call where my mother disowned me. I heard through distant relatives that they had moved to Florida, closer to where Jenna was incarcerated. They visited her every month, I was told, brought her books and photos, and told her how much they missed her. They never asked how I was doing. Jeffrey divorced Jenna 8 months into her sentence. He sent me a short email apologizing for his part in everything, and saying he should have stopped her before it went so far. I appreciated the gesture, but did not respond. Some bridges are burned beyond repair. Patricia and her husband did try to sue me, just as they had threatened. The lawsuit was dismissed within 3 months, just as Kathleen had predicted. They were ordered to pay my legal fees. I never saw them again. The identity theft ring that Jenna had been working with was dismantled thanks to her testimony. 7 people were arrested and convicted. Dozens of victims got some measure of justice. I took no satisfaction in it. I had not done any of this to be a hero. I had done it to protect myself. My business thrived. Without the distraction of family drama, I was able to focus completely on my projects. My company expanded. I hired more people. I took on bigger developments. I became known in the industry as someone who was tough but fair, someone who did not tolerate nonsense. The beach house remained my sanctuary. I spent most weekends there, usually alone, sometimes with colleagues or the few friends I still had. I never gave anyone a key. I never let anyone stay when I was not there. The violation of my space had taught me to be careful, protective. On the 3-year anniversary of that night when I found Jenna in my house, I was sitting on the deck watching the sunset when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost did not answer, but something made me pick up. Hello? Alexia? It is me, Jenna. My stomach dropped. How did you get this number? I'm allowed phone calls. I memorized it from before. She paused. I am up for parole soon. I know. I had been notified by the parole board. They had asked if I wanted to attend the hearing. I had declined. I wanted to talk to you before the hearing, to apologize. For real this time. Okay. I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. I have spent 3 years thinking about what I did, and I understand now how wrong it was, how selfish, how cruel. I waited. I am not asking you to forgive me, she continued. I know that is not going to happen, but I wanted you to know that I am sorry, genuinely sorry, for all of it. Why now? I asked. Why not 3 years ago? Why not before you planned to steal everything from me? Because I did not get it then. I did not understand what I was doing. I just saw the money and the opportunity, and I did not think about you as a real person, just as a means to an end. And now? Now I understand that what I did was unforgivable, that I destroyed our relationship, that I hurt you in ways I can never repair, and I have to live with that. I closed my eyes. Part of me wanted to believe her, wanted to think that prison had changed her, that she had grown and learned and become a better person. But I had learned the hard way that Jenna was good at saying what people wanted to hear. I hope you find peace, I said finally. But I cannot be part of your life. Not now. Not ever. I understand, she whispered. Goodbye, Alexia. She hung up. I sat there for a long time, listening to the waves and feeling the weight of everything that had happened. The betrayal, the fight, the consequences. All of it. Jenna was granted parole 4 months later. She moved to Oregon, as far from me as she could get while staying in the country. My parents moved there too, following her like they always had. I heard through the grapevine that she was working as a waitress, living in a small apartment, trying to rebuild her life. As for her in-laws, Patricia and her husband faced their own reckoning when word spread through their social circles about what had really happened. The carefully constructed story they had told about Jenna being falsely accused crumbled when the court documents became public. They lost friends, lost standing. Patricia stopped hosting her regular gatherings when people started declining her invitations. Her husband's business suffered when clients quietly took their accounts elsewhere. The family name they had been so proud of became associated with scandal and poor judgment, and they spent their remaining years trying unsuccessfully to restore their reputation while living with the shame of having defended and enabled a criminal. I moved forward. I built my life. I dated occasionally, though I was careful, cautious. I traveled. I invested in my business and watched it grow. I found satisfaction in work and in the small moments of peace I carved out for myself. Sometimes late at night, I thought about what I had lost. The family that could have been. The sister who might have existed if things had been different. The parents who might have chosen me instead of her. But then I thought about what I had gained. My self-respect, my boundaries, the knowledge that I could stand up for myself even when it cost me everything. Was it worth it? That was the question people always wanted to ask. Was it worth destroying your family over money? But they did not understand. It was never about the money. It was about refusing to be a victim. About drawing a line and saying this far and no further. About choosing myself when no one else would. I sat on my deck that evening, 3 years and 4 months after everything had started, and watched the sun set over the ocean. My ocean, my house, my life, built by me, protected by me, belonging to me alone. And for the first time in a long time, I felt at peace with the choices I had made. The revenge I had pursued was not the petty, vindictive kind that destroys everyone it touches. It was the kind that comes from standing up for yourself, from refusing to be diminished, from demanding the justice you deserve. It had cost me my family, yes, but in return, it had given me something more valuable. The unshakable knowledge that I could protect myself, that I could survive alone, that I did not need anyone's approval to know my own worth.